Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. When I spoke with Kami not that long ago, we covered a lot of different topics, and I have interjected those into various things, the Mother's Day segment and Mary's birthday and Ralph's birthday. But there were other things that we talked about that I now wanted to share with you. So this is sort of the other pieces of my conversation I had with Kami. So please welcome back, Kami.
I mean, so many of our assistant directors I really liked. Mm-hmm. Like, they were really great guys, and they were trying their best, and they were, they would try to be flexible if there's something you really wanted. Like, they wanted to be. Most of them were great, but they still were like torn between these two worlds of what the actors want and what is safest and most convenient for production. And I guess it's part. I don't know if it's. Yeah, and just kind of teasing them and, you really don't need me. Don't bring me in. Moaning.
Yeah, and it was a lot of people to manage, with 11 regular cast members plus all of whatever supporting, recurring, a lot of bodies. I can't putting together shooting schedule.
Well, and when I think
call
about
sheets,
I felt, even when as a kid, I felt fully comfortable, like, giving feedback on the shooting schedule. Like, I can remember on set, like, looking over somebody's shoulder as they were doing all the little cardboard strips to create the shooting schedule and being like, first asking questions like, why is it like that? And why is it okay? And then being like, doesn't it make more sense for that one to be over there? And you can move that scene there. Like, that was the other. I was watching a bit of an episode where I was sitting on, I guess, Michael's lap. And I looked so comfortable. Like, I was just sprawled there. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, good gracious me. Like, I'm completely unconscious and I'm not. And that's my memory. It's just feeling really comfortable. Like, sit on, Kami, you're on Ralph's lap. Okay. And then Will's going to pick Kami up and like, all good. I always think like acting was the perfect job for me as a kid, but I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as an adult. Mm. I think it moves too slowly, and I think I would have gotten impatient at the pace of it. Yeah,
theater moves differently than film and television does, and television moves faster than film. So
the first time I walked on like a proper movie set, it was some feature that was being filmed on Warner Brothers. I think Dan Aykroyd was in it. And I just walked onto the stage, and I'm like, nobody was doing anything. It was just still. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, where's the next setup? Like, what's happening? And they move so slowly. It's like they shot a page a day. And we were shooting 12 to 14 pages a day. Yeah, it was dramatically different.
Well, do you feel like from the time you were young, was there a point where you felt like, no, this is what I really want to do? Or did you always just kind of feel like, no, I don't see that this is cool and I'm going to spend my life doing?
I don't know. I mean, I think it was in my head as a possible career, but I don't know that it was in my head as the only career. Mm-hmm. And I think part of what happened for me was when, I enjoyed working. Like, I liked going to work. I liked the fact that different people would come through. There was a lot of action and stimulation. I liked going to school, like in the kind of short little bursts. And Glenn was such a terrific teacher that I was super engaged in school. And it was, it all suited me really well. And then when the show ended, and during kind of the period where like my agent was like, okay, sending you out on other auditions. By then I was a teenager. And so auditions were radically different, right? As a child, you go to, my memory of auditions is you go and there are a bunch of kids and you read for some person and you're done. But as a teenager, I was conscious of like walking into rooms and people like looking at you, right? Like other teen girls, like kind of checking you out, right? And being like, whoa, okay, that was a surprising amount of hostility for me just to walk through the door. And then also starting to figure out like, oh, these girls are all prettier than me, or these girls are all blondes and I'm the one redhead. And then also getting weird interactions with casting agents, like going in to read for a casting agent and saying, so what have you done before? And I think I was like, okay. And I said, well, I've only done one thing. And he's like, oh, only one thing? I'm like, yeah, just one thing. He's like, oh, okay. I go, I mean, it was a series and it lasted for 8 years, but it was just the one thing. So I think I had just enough experiences where I'm like, this isn't, I don't particularly like this, like I don't like this dynamic. And then when we did the reunion shows and we got to work with crews who didn't know us, and I started to realize like, oh, crew members are worried about, like they're frightened to say things to me like, could you just scooch a little to the right? Which of course our crew would have said instantly. Right? Like,
Kami, move over.
Yeah. Hey, Kami, when you enter, can you like hug the tree so I don't have to go out to the truck and get a silk? I'm like, yeah, sure. Not a problem. Like we were constantly like, there was this constant flow of communication and collaboration to make all of our jobs easier. And here I realized like there are crew members like doing all these extreme, like going to get gear and building things to like fix a problem that if they just say, hey, could you be a little taller? I could like sit on my knee and then it would be. Yeah. And I remember saying, hey, do you need me to be like 3 inches taller? Because I could just tuck a leg under when I'm sitting here and then I will be. And they were like, oh, could you do that? Like, yeah. So I think, I'm not sure I like what this is like for grown-ups.
Yeah, I don't know that I had noticed that or was experienced it in that way. I mean, there were things that I just, was aware of that I would sort of automatically do, if it was a shot on me, that I would quite often go, okay, where are you cutting? So that I knew, where did my hands need to be? It's like, do we want this prop up in the frame? Do we want it out of frame? Do we not just kind of want my hand sort of popping in and out? It's like those types of things. Yeah. How much can I move without the camera?
There was late in the shoot, maybe when we were doing the movies of the week, like the first 3, the NBC ones, I think there were some new crew members, and I, in typical fashion, because new people are really exciting, kind of bounced up to some new craft service guy and said, hey, and just chatted away with him, like, where are you from? And talked to him for a good 15, 20 minutes and then left, thinking he was a little standoffish, but okay. And then I think your mom was talking to him, and he I think he asked her, like, what was she doing? And your mom was like, she's just being friendly. And he's like, it was really weird because as soon as she started to talk to me, like I told her I was married, and she just
Oh, interesting. Well, you're an adult now.
Right. So just dynamics that you're not part of as a kid, like you're really not part of the power structure, and you're really not, like, there's all these things kind of happen around you that aren't relevant.
Yeah, it's very true. I think we were still totally in an era where kids were traditionally more secondary, and the shows weren't about them. So they
weren't the stars.
Yeah, they were unimportant to it from that standpoint. So there wasn't a lot of deference paid to them. And we were also fortunate to not have, relative to moms, we didn't have any stage moms on set. None of us had guardians or parents who were that were pushy, or, they were protective if need be, but not everyone.
They were like they weren't competitive, like pitting people against the
No, there was none of, well, your kid has more lines than my kid. Because I have heard those stories, where huge, like, mediations that have to go on set. And it's all those politics of, the parents with which kid is getting the focus. And, I can't, that must just be so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So we were lucky in that way. So I think probably the crews just, didn't think we weren't like off limits to interact with, because I don't think they felt their job was potentially in danger for if they interacted with us. I mean, We
Well,
had no power.
yeah, we had no power. That's true. My mom talked about when I first started working, like her coming to visit and watching me, like asking everybody how everything worked up and like, what's that thing called? How does that? And why did you do that? And like questioning. And she went up to some crew member and said, "Is she bothering you?" Because she was worried that I was just annoying people with endless questions. And they're like, no, it's really sweet. It's fun to explain it. Like, so it was all fine. So I think that's part of it too. Like they were really willing, like they perceived my interest in all the technology as like a nice thing that they could explain it to me. And I really did like it. Like I thought it was really cool to know how it worked. So that's another piece.
Along the way, as we were doing it, I mean, I feel guilty sometimes because we were just goofing around at times and not taking it real seriously and going, yeah. I mean, it's like you could watch the shows and go, that was a really good show, or read a script and go, this is a really nice story. Or sometimes you go, well, this one isn't so hot, or this is a stupid scene, or whatever. Yes. That we were not being precious about it at the time we were making it, which I think is probably good. That we didn't over sentimentalize it.
That's a really good observation, because when you look at so many of like the group scenes, there's a kind of lovely grubbiness to it and kind of informality about it that I think makes it much more real. And I think that people connect to it. And you're 100% right. Like the number of people who've said, "Oh, my family situation was really difficult, and I didn't have parents I could trust, and so I would watch the Waltons and pretend I was there." Or now more and more people are talking about when they're facing really challenging illnesses. It's our show that they're watching to kind of get through, treatments and hospital stays, and it's remarkable. Yeah. I think too about like Earl's family, because he's writing about the late 20s and the 30s. And it's being portrayed in the 70s. But what a lot of like patience and tolerance and willingness to be flexible we see in the parenting, right? As opposed to just being punitive or just being like, "Oh, you've embarrassed me in front of everyone." Like just real thoughtful, caring ways of treating your family.
Yeah. And represented on 3 and then 4 generations.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I've been asked if I feel that doing the show has in any way informed or guided my choices as an adult and a parent and stuff like that. And I mean, it's so impossible for me to answer something like that because your experiences form part of who you are. It's your accumulation of all of that. So, of course, everything that we experienced, everything that I take away from that show is a part of me in some way, but I don't have conscious moments of, oh, I'm going to do this because on the Waltons we did blah, blah.
And I think because people, people experience the show completely differently than we experienced making it. Right? Like they experience sitting down and watching a story from start to finish. And we experience shooting the story out of order and doing it over and over again. And then doing the scene, but also thinking about like leaning in so that you're, so we're doing all these technical things while it's happening and we're doing this during the scene, but noticing too that something's falling. It's like there's so much going on, hitting your mark. There's just all this activity that you're engaged in that's technical while you're doing
ignoring a camera that's
ignoring your reflection, which you can see in the lens, which is right there. Like there's just so much going on. I'm listening for the cameraman to grunt because you're not quite in front. Like this, there's just oodles and oodles of things that are happening. So the stories are really not that impactful, I think, on my life. The time I spent with the people and the diversity of humans I got to meet, right? If I hadn't have been on the show, I would have been a little girl in the suburbs of Orange County going to school. And like, that would have been my life. And instead I was meeting people I was spending time with people whose parents were all from different situations than mine, right? Like I've spent all day with your mom, right? An English girl who married a Canadian serviceman and worked as a hand-to-hand balance and also had been a singer in like restaurants and things. And that, like, I would have never met a person like that if I hadn't have been on set. And that's one example of all the different people that we got to interact with. Which is like, how do you measure that?
Yeah, that's a good point. And how many people of different generations we interacted with from a young age, which in your life, you might have some older relatives, but you're not going to.
There's actually some research, I think, that talks about the impact of peer pressure and how that a lot of the impact of peer pressure comes from the fact that we group people in same age groups. Right? You go off to school and you're with everybody your age year after year after year after year for most of your day. And that is one of the dynamics that makes you susceptible to your peers pressuring you into doing things. And when I reflect on it, I was pretty like, my friends could do stupid things and I would be like, I'm going to wait here and I'll pick you up after. Like, I didn't have to participate. And I wonder to what degree part of that had to do with the fact that those peer relationships weren't the most important thing all the time, because I'd spent so much time with people of all different ages, lots of adults on the set.
Yeah, I think I agree. And I think beyond that is that for most people, they wait so many years to enter the real world and the work environment. And I think in a lot of cases, there simply isn't enough demand on people when they're young there aren't enough expectations beyond, you got to get good grades, you got to, whereas, which is arbitrary. And that the environment we were in, there were adult expectations all the time. There were things for you to, by choice, step up and deliver. We were experiencing it firsthand. We represented that as the Waltons because everybody had chores and things had to get done.
Yeah. And I think that it's twofold. I think about the fact that while it was important to do it right? You didn't want to be the person who messed up the scene. So yeah, technically there was pressure to do it right. I don't remember feeling pressured.
No, I agree.
I remember feeling competent.
Yeah.
I remember feeling
into it. Yeah.
I remember feeling praised.
Rising to the occasion, which we wanted to do. Yeah.
I remember people applauding, right? Because I fell down the stairs and still got up and delivered my line and hit my next mark and we could print the scene. And if you could really perform like that, then the crew would be like, woohoo, we're going to make it to lunch on time, right? Like it was, so there were real things happening. And I think like in education, I'm always pushing, let's do a project because you're making something real, right? If you're building something and you're learning about how it works, it either works or it doesn't. It's not like a teacher grades you on something and you're not quite sure why you got the grade. Like did your water wheel move the water from there to there? It did or it didn't. Could your team work together and figure it out? They did or they didn't. And I had the same experience when I first taught drama. Like realizing like, oh, if I like really give them a lot of free rein and just tell them what the end objective is, it's their fault if they mess it up. Not my fault. And I think a lot of kids find ways to blame the adults, right? Look, I couldn't finish the paper because you didn't. And there's another problem. And in drama, I could set up these little scenarios where you are going to make all the decisions and you're going to figure out all the staging and you're totally responsible for this little like children's book you're going to adapt to perform for kindergartners. And that's it. And the kindergartners will either love it or they'll hate it. It's nothing to do with me. It's totally an authentic situation. And you're right. We had a lot of time where we were in authentic, real situations where real work had to be done. And it was abundantly obvious whether it was completed or not.
Yeah.
I would add, and this is advice I always give to people who are talking about their kids working. I knew I could quit. Like if I went home and complained, my parents said, well, quit. Because you don't have to go in. And in fact, our lives would be simpler if we didn't have to like find someone to take you to work and make sure that you can get to the thing on the Saturday. It'd be much easier for us if you just came home, went to the school around the corner, Like that would be a simpler life. And I go, no, never mind. I want to go back. But I think that space, right, is also takes pressure off of you as a child performer.
Yeah. And that, unfortunately, for some children hasn't been the case.
Yeah.
I think it was for, I think most of us.
Most of us.
If not all of us.
Yeah. But I think that's an important thing to consider as a parent who's looking at who's considering, should my child perform? Like, yeah, if it's because they want to. Like, that's the safest way to do it.
Yeah. Because it isn't for every child.
Oh, no. So super weird activity.
Yeah. Some people want to be behind the scenes and some people are happy to be, in the front. Do you have a preference? Me?
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with both because, which I found when I started directing that but you're sort of, my innate sense of being able to organize things and see the pieces and how they come together, which worked for me as an actor, where you talked about the multitude of things you're doing in a scene while you're playing the scene, that you're aware of where the camera is and where the light is and did you hit your mark and where are the other actors and, oh, they just shifted. So now I need to shift because they're blocking half of me. So I'm just going to sort of lean to the right, or this prop needs to come up all the way to here because I have established that that's where the camera is cutting. So all those types of things, I can multitask like that. And I can think ahead to, oh, there's going to be a problem with that because this is going. And so when I direct or organize things, it's, I'm always, I can run 3 steps ahead and go, and I'm very big on organizing and pre-planning, because, not that I can't improvise in the moment, but I wasn't someone who's like, oh, I'm going to put my homework off till the last minute. I'm like, I want it out of the way because then I want to be able to goof off. I don't want to be like, oh, it's still looming. So I think both. I'm perfectly happy to be on the one on stage, but I can enjoy sitting in the audience and watching what I kind of help bring together and appreciate the performances that the people are doing, that I know I gave them an environment in which to create. Not that I told them how to do it, but just, it's like watching your vision come to life, which is really kind of cool.
The tiny bit of directing I did, and it was tiny, and I really didn't know what I was doing, but I think the bit I liked the most was the kind of problem solving with the actors. Like, okay, this doesn't feel right at all. And of course it was high school. So, there was a situation where a very, very pretty senior was in the scene, and the fellow who's playing opposite her was kind of an awkward, like 10th grader or something. And he couldn't get over the fact that he had to talk to her, like at all. And I'm like, how am I going to get in past it? And that was fun. Like, what game can I give them? Like, what can I give them to do to get him to just be comfortable with the fact that he's going to talk to her, so that he can play her boss, is I actually think what he was supposed to be. So he really needed to not be like, in front of her. Like, that's fun.
Yeah. But I mean, all of it I can look at and go, I've been successful at some of it and not successful at some of it. And I can look back and it's like, I got a whole laundry list of things like, oh, that was a horrible mistake. Oh, I messed that up. And the list of people I feel the need to apologize for, oh, I yelled at that person and that was me. That wasn't them. And, so I just keep hoping that, the more you go forward and the more you recognize those things, the better you'll do next time, finding where your strengths can shine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll find it one of these days. I think I still have time. What do you think, Kami? Miss Cotler, do you think there's hope for me? Thank you for joining me for this segment with Kami. And if you enjoyed this, please do hit like and subscribe. I'll see you next time for more behind the scenes of the Waltons, more Ask Judy, and who knows what other surprises and topics we'll cover. Thanks for watching.